Yeah.
information, as is her understanding of the information.
Yep.
Where the physical information exists in the photon.
Okay.
Right? And you can know about the photon
Okay.
as an abstraction of information, but so is receiving.
Okay, this is shaping up just fine. So what you said, I mean, I'm not going to try and write all that down, but what you said would go in here, right? Yeah. What you just said would go in here. And it's kind of obvious, just from listening to you explaining it here. It's a little bit complicated, that argument, yeah? So it's going to be there's going to be some point at which it would be natural. If you imagine Jackson listening to you, it would be natural for Jackson to say, yeah, but wait a minute, here's a key point you're missing. Mary gets the physical review. Mary gets Nature. Mary gets Science. She has all the journals. Yeah? So here's Jackson. Yeah? And then, no doubt, you have a way of polishing off Jackson. You see what I mean? Yeah. Or you might say, no, there's a valid point Jackson's making here that doesn't seem right, but I don't quite know how to address it. You can do that. Yeah? But just explain as far as you got in thinking about that. Then restate it, and you can wrap up. Yeah? So what do the GSIs think if you got something like that? Is that? Yeah. Okay. Someone else. Anyone else with a thesis? I'm going to start calling on you guys in just a second. No, someone from a different part of the room. All right. Okay. Come on. Give us a thesis. Yeah.
So mine's kind of abstract. I just want to see if it turns out to be viable when I actually.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I'm doing the first problem on Nagel and his scientific understanding.
Learn about Nagel and scientific understanding in the bat and all that, yeah.
So my main thesis is that Nagel's argument rests on the notion that there is such a thing, that it's like to be that, and that there is a subjective consciousness. And from that standpoint, his argument is valid. But I argue that you can't be sure that there is a subjective consciousness to begin with.
Yeah.
And because of that, the scientific, because you can't prove or disprove that there
Right.
is a subjective experience, you can't disprove that having all the scientific factual information about something would not be enough to completely understand.
Okay. So the main move is going to be something like, my point is we need to establish that there is such a thing as consciousness before we can argue from it. We can't take that for granted. Yep. Right. And then Descartes would be a natural way of arguing against that. Yeah, because Descartes says, suppose the physical world doesn't exist. You still know about consciousness. Yeah? And so I no doubt you've got a way of addressing that. Yeah? No. We're just talking about the structure of the essay here, what an essay should look like, if you see what I mean. So I think that's fine. It's just as with your neighbour to get it articulated properly what the key point is that you're going to rest everything on. And in your case, it sounds like it's going to be something like, you can't take the existence of consciousness as a datum. That's something that has to be argued. Yeah? And then once you see that, Nagel's argument looks different. Yep. Yeah. Okay, someone from this side of the room. What about one of you guys? Yes, exactly. If everyone just looks round for that. Anyone? Lady in blue? Yep. You don't really have a thesis? Okay, your task is to get a thesis rapidly. Okay. That is the first thing you got to do. Yeah. Surely someone else must have a thesis. Lady in blue behind you? No. Do you have a thesis? Blue? Yes, I meant you. Yep. Yes. Yes, good.
Okay. I want to argue about the Descartes question.
Descartes, good, yeah.
Basically arguing that you are the master of your own mind when you have a healthy mind, but his statement is too universal, like you're not always the master
Yes.
And then pulling in an example for that would be depression.
Would be depression. Okay. That's perfectly good. But let's see how we get this into a soundbite. I mean, think of your main thesis as a kind of soundbite that gets the main nerve of your argument. Yeah. So, what's the point going to be there? When you say master of your own mind, you mean something like having knowledge of your own mind.
Yeah. So no one can know you better than you know yourself.
Great. Okay. So your main point is it's a mistake to suppose that you always know yourself better than anyone else can know you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you see that the reason for taking some time over this point is once you get this stated properly, the rest is actually relatively easy. If you can get this, okay, my main point is you have knowledge of your own mind. Your knowledge of your own mind is not necessarily better than anyone else's knowledge of your mind. Yeah. Then Descartes' argument is not so good. Yeah. And then there are going to be that's a little bit complex because there are two parts there, right? There's the part that says I know my own mind better than anyone else knows it, and there's a part that says Descartes' argument depends on this. Yeah. So Descartes replying to you, and think of the guy you're commenting on as listening to you and saying, but that's not what I meant, right? Someone who really passionately invested in you being wrong, and think what they might be saying. So you're going to have to argue, first of all, that it's true that other people are sometimes in as good a position to know about your mind as you are, yeah. And the other part that this matters for Descartes, because Descartes might well dig in his heels about both. You see what I mean? Yeah. But that's great. Once you've got that shaped up already. That is a good structure for the essay.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, GSIs, any comment on that? I mean, I think that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Yep. I mean, we're not making any promises here, you understand, but these, as schematic structures, these are as excellent. Okay, does no one else actually want to try their thesis? This is your chance to get the GSIs to pitch in and say, for God's sake, don't do that. Or whatever. Yep. Yes. I don't know why whenever I point to anybody in this class, they always look round. I mean, it's not just you, everybody does it. But anyway, I think anyway, carry on.
It seems that my structure, my original structure, is not very similar to the suggested structure. So I would just try to say it. First, my argument is basically that my thesis is on Chinese room.
You're talking about the Chinese room. Uh-huh.
The main point is I want to argue that Searle is right.
You want to argue that Searle is right? Yes, fine.
I want to explain why he is right.
Yes, that's good.
The first part is I try to understand try to explain what is computer model of mind and Searle's refutation about it, the main point. And the second, I want to analyze the assumptions behind computer model of mind, the behaviorism and dualism, and how the Chinese room refuses again.
Okay.
And the second, that is the point of the part I'm very confused that I think what's behind Searle's thesis is intentionality or the self-consciousness, but he just not mentioned it very much. But it is, but basically, I think what the point is. So I want to explain what is exactly mean, what he exactly means when he says computer doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I want to explain what understand. I think it has a close relation with myself, consciousness, and intentionality, but that doesn't appear much in the thesis.
Very good. Okay, so I think I get the gist, and what that brings out is the difficulty of getting your main thesis sorted out, or what your main thesis is going to be. And the way you put it is, my main point is Searle is right. Right. And we should just leave that in the board in case he comes in here himself. I think that. The thing about that is that won't do quite quite as your main thesis. Yeah, not because I think Searle is wrong exactly, but because it doesn't say what he's right about. Yeah, the trick is to be fully explicit here. So you've got to delete this and say, okay, so what is Searle's point? What is the point you agree with? It's something about computers don't understand English, or can't understand English, or couldn't understand English.
I want to explain what is understanding according to Searle.
That's not a thesis, right? That's a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think he is basically right. So there's nothing to do except explain why.
Yeah, but what's he right about? What is he right about? You said Searle is right, yeah, but Searle said tons of stuff, right? You just mean about the Chinese room. So what is it? The difficult thing is to articulate. I mean, please, other people pitch in here. If you're thinking about the Chinese room, how would you put this? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also writing about Searle. I'm not refuting Searle, but I'm saying that his argument is inadequate because he hasn't defined a semantic understanding, how one is to achieve a semantic understanding.
Okay.
So my thesis is what I believe is how one can achieve a semantic understanding.
Okay, that's great. So your main point is we achieve a semantic understanding by doing X, right? We by, okay, and then X won't do, right? You've got to say, what is it?
I believe that it's through trial and error, it's through
Okay.
multiple syntactical manipulations that eventually you develop a semantic understanding.
Okay, if I said trial and error learning, would that catch it? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So look, it takes a certain nerve to do what you just did. Yeah, it takes a certain amount of audacity because this is not something that you just read in the article, right? And people might just laugh. They might say that's just so daft, right? Because you haven't tried it out, right? So it does always take a certain. That's what I mean about exposing the jugular. You know, it takes a certain amount of nerve to do that. But that's just bang on. That is the way to do it. Yeah, that's what you're being asked to do. Pin your colours to the mast as explicitly as you can, right at the start. Yeah, don't leave yourself with a back out, if you see what I mean. Yeah. So that's what you're being asked to do too. Yeah, you've got to do. In a way, you've got to do all the work before you start writing. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that a similar point that you made, that you could sort of formulate similarly is something like, I want to say that Searle's notion of understanding is, brings in a notion of self-consciousness, right? So you have that idea. It's just about being explicit that that's your contribution. You're saying, I want to define understanding as self-conscious awareness. That would be the way to sort of put the idea you had into this kind of like main thesis way. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think Professor Cameron's point is it's just about figuring out what your main point is and stating it right up front.
Okay, can you put your hand up if at this point you're fairly clear what you're being asked to do in the essay? And if you're kind of still foggy about it? Can you put your finger